talking about the evolution of love, sex, and marriage. Now, before we went to break, we had a very lively discussion about the different types of lifestyles. We have someone here new to our guest panel. We have TP. TP, do you mind introducing yourselves to our audience?
Hello, everyone. My name is TP. I'm an adult entertainer, and I'm also the group leader for Ultimate Pleasures,
Wow.
which is a swinger group.
Well, you will definitely fit in perfect. Right now, we were talking about the evolution in a sense where people are now, Michael expressed it very, very well. He said there's an awakening of who they are, what they like, and they are now breaking outside of the box. I've talked about the struggles from being here in Atlanta as a single woman, just trying to figure out where I fit in regards to the type of male that I'm trying to attract. From your perspective as an adult entertainer, as well as you're involved in the alternative lifestyles such as being a swinger, what do you see? How has that evolution affected your life? How did you even get to this place?
Well, for me personally, I've always been a sexual person. And I found that a lot of the people that I was meeting in my life, they weren't on my level. So once I understood that about myself from the beginning. So once I understood that, then I went a step further as far as trying to put myself in a better place to where I could meet other like minds like unto myself.
Okay. Now, Dr. Becky, you were describing the different types of couples and the definitions of polyamorous and swingers. If someone's not familiar with that term, TP, what's the best way to describe that lifestyle so that they have a clear, because there's two different, she explained polyamorous as having an open relationship that is more romantically linked, correct? Did I get it right? Or I'm learning all
Close
this.
enough.
Okay, I'm learning all of this.
I mean, it would be 5 people in there. It's interesting, but yeah, it would be romance. It's not just the sex. They actually have a relationship.
Okay.
I have to make that very clear.
They have a relationship. Okay.
It's an actual relationship. It's just that, it gets complicated because there'd be 2 women and 3 men.
But everybody's.
And everybody's,
Okay, all right. I'm figuring this out. All right, now.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen, like TP, you're in this, have you seen the evolution of that lifestyle, the swinger lifestyle, evolve here in Atlanta?
Yes, I have.
Okay, do you see an increase, decrease, more women, more men? I mean, because this is something that is now coming to the forefront for a lot of people, and they are more curious about it and they're getting more involved with it here in Atlanta. What is it, what have you seen transform? Is something positive things from it or more negative?
Well, I guess over a period of time, change is evident. But I think because it's become more mainstream now, that tends to attract some of the wrong type of people, because the swing lifestyle was always meant to be something more private, more secretive, much like a fraternity or sorority or secret society of that sort. But with it becoming so popular, you have a lot of people that are trying to jump on board with it just because it's something different for them, and they really lack the mindset that it takes to really understand what it's all about.
Very interesting. Now, Michael, from a religious perspective, how do you explain that to your how can this be explained biblically? I mean, is it justifiable? I know, Kitty, you were saying that this is something that's very much connected, this evolution and this awakening is very much connected to religion. Would you agree?
If you break down what a relationship is to be defined biblically, it's between a man and a woman. So a lot of these alternative lifestyles, whether it is same-sex relationships or swinging or being polyamorous, would clearly all be unbiblical. And a lot of this stuff, as we said earlier, is nothing new. This was what the scripture was talking about in Sodom and Gomorrah. These are the type of lifestyles these people lived during those biblical times.
Wow, anybody want to jump in?
Can I add, and it's not to overstep my bounds, it's not to say this is right or wrong, but it's like the very first, I would say, I don't know if it's polyamorous or swing, situation, but it's like Abraham offered his wife Sarah. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. It's, and I'm not trying to offer it's right or wrong or anything, because I think, and I'm not going to go there, but I will say this. Obviously, these type of relationships are prevalent. It's all over the Bible, but we don't talk about it. And I think it's one thing. It's one thing to say, okay, of course, what is considered the godly relationship. However, perhaps maybe I'm just a realist. The truth of the matter is that some of the first clients that came to me were Christians, ministers, pastors, deacons, whatever. They're bisexual, or they're straight, or they're gay. Some of them are in relationships. Some of them are swingers. And it's about getting knowledge about what's really going on to be able to better serve the people. Because the majority of the people who have come to me, they've gone to pastors, they've gone to, others. They couldn't get answers. They're not looking to be preached to. They're looking to really be able to embrace themselves, really. When I decided, and I won't talk too much, but I learned a long time ago, I enjoy sex. In fact, when I was still more actively, I guess, in church, at least fundamental Christian, I would say, you know what, I just decided, I'm going to be honest, I love fornication.
You said that in Sunday school?
No, not in Sunday school. I was at home, but I was in prayer, and I was like, I enjoy fornication. Before that, it was such a struggle, but I decided, you know what, I need to embrace the truth. I enjoy fornication. I'm not single, and I like to have sex with people I'm not married to. And after that, instead of sex having me, I had sex. I was able to control myself.
Do you think that it comes down at the end of the day to people living out their curiosities, like you said earlier, Dr. Rebecca, about people coming to you because they are going through a mental anguish? Like I guess now, so I want to talk more about it because of, I'm not going to name any specific names just for liability, legal liability, but people changing their sex. And now you have more people are becoming more aware of the term transgender, transsexual, transracial now too, but but all of these trans, and I am completely confused, and I can only imagine how this is affecting children. I know that they have to be confused. What are some of the things that you guys are hearing from kids?
Well, what's really interesting is that we're not born with any of society's expectations. It's much easier seen with race than it is with other sexes, I think, just because we don't necessarily say, hey, kids, watch porn, hopefully.
Hopefully you don't.
But, the Cheerios commercial with the mixed couple was a perfect example. All these kids were interviewed saying, I don't understand, what's the problem? Kids who, they've done studies, and they found that the children of gay parents are actually very well adapted to the world, sometimes more so than the children of straight parents, which is probably similar to what you'd find with children of mixed parents. If I'm forced to see, both sides of the coin from a young age, and it's normal to me, then I'm not concerned. We grow up, when we're told that something isn't normal as a child, that's when it's disturbing to us, or we grow up to have a problem with it.
Well, I guess from my perspective is, I understand that at the end of the day, people choose their decisions and the way that things are evolving, especially with love, because I think that's what it comes down to, self-love specifically. There are so many different levels. You could love someone just based off the way that they treat you, how they provide for you, but at the end of the day, I think the struggle is self-acceptance and self-love, which you have completely embraced, and I admire that. There are so many people, TP, that are not as open. They can't say, I like to blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. They can't. How did you come to that point, and what advice do you give to people who are struggling with that self-love?
I guess I would have to speak for myself first and just say,
I'm gonna need you to. It's okay.
First, I would have to just speak for myself, and in order for you to answer that question, you have to become in tune with yourself and who you are first off. If you can't do that, you're not going to be able to answer any of the other questions. And once you become comfortable in yourself and know who you are, that somewhat opens you up to be able to say, yes, this is what I'm interested in, and not be ashamed of it. No difference from someone that's gay coming out of the closet,
Right.
publicly getting married and things of that nature. It starts within.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's really good advice. Do you sometimes have people when they do find out about, maybe how open you are and how expressive you are and how much you're okay with what you do, but they say things that are contrary to that are not kind? Do you ever experience that?
Oh, all the time.
Really?
Mhm.
What are some things that they say to you? I'm just curious.
Well, one of the things they always say is, also because I'm in the porn industry, oh, you must be gay.
Really?
Oh, you must be bi, because they automatically assume that if you're willing to step outside the box a little, then you're probably willing to step all the way outside.
Wow, wow. Now, we come to with the evolution of sex and love and marriage and a lot of the acceptance and openness, how do you explain the increase of opposition like that, what you're getting? Because there's always going to be someone that says, no, that's not right. But that, to me, even though I may come out and somebody says, no, 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 that is not right, you are wrong, you are going to go wherever you're supposed to go religiously or whatever, shouldn't that cause some sort of mental anguish? Do you get clients that come to you, Dr. Becky, with those struggles because they have come out, they have been open, there was an awakening, they are now want to be polymorous or polyamorous or poly McFadden, I don't know, whatever terms are out there,
Funny.
and they now get that backlash. What do you do when you get that backlash?
Absolutely. And it's hard because we all want to sit there and say, well, I don't care what people think.
Right.
I'm living life for me. We care what people think. It's human nature. We always care. And usually when we say we don't care, we're actually kind of trying to prove to other people that we don't care because we care that they care that we care.
Exactly.
So I can't convince people to not care what people think.
Right.
But I can help people understand what's important to them and what's healthy. If we live for other people, we're not happy. Period, end of story. And I don't mean service to other people or volunteer work, but I mean changing who we are as a person because we think that's what other people expect of us. We won't be happy.
Wow.
And I think when people sort of really own that and realize that, this wonderful quote, those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind, the people who are really important or really have your back will have your back no matter what. And the people who won't, you're probably better off without anyway. So sometimes it can kind of help to weed things out, but it is hard not to take those things personally when you hear it on a daily basis.
Can I say this? And then even when I coach, I'm spending more time giving people permission to just be themselves.
Is that all they pay you to do? No, I'm just.
I mean, that's how it's like they come to me about and ask a question. In any of the day, they just want permission to just be who they are. They just want to know that at least one person accepts them, and I accept them, and they see that. But most importantly, it's just getting them to accept themselves and just have permission to do that.
Wow. Now, speaking of which, I always go back to you. I find, just how fascinating it is that you're open. You've been in Atlanta for some time now, right?
Yes.
And how long have this lifestyle existed, especially among African Americans? I don't think I've ever really heard of a lot of African Americans, when I hear swingers, I hear, like old white people in the suburbs, I've never really heard of a large movement of African Americans until I moved here to Atlanta. Is that common?
Well, it's very prominent in the black community, actually.
Really?
But the reason that it would seem that it's not is because when you think of its origin, which dates back to Julius Caesar and Alexander the Great, that's the picture that's depicted. So it's not speaking of black people per se, but it involves all ethnicities across the board.
Wow. Well, I'm interested in learning more. So we're going to take a quick break. And we're going to come back with more of Talking Out Loud with A.L. Cooper.